Hi, what's the best place to be when we start new things? That is the question I want to look at today by looking at Acts 16 verses 12 to 15. So in Acts 16, Paul along with Luke goes to Philippi. This is the first time they're at Philippi, and for the first few days in verse 12 he says there's really nothing that's happening there. And then in verse 13 he says something shifts. On Sabbath, we went outside the city gate to the river where we expected to find a place of prayer. So what are they doing here? They are leaving the city, going out of the city to find a place to pray. In this, they are following the model of Jesus, of leaving the busyness of the city to go out to a solitary place to pray. Mark 1:35 talks about that. There are multiple times in the Gospels where Jesus goes out to pray. When they go out to pray, something new happens. What is that? Verse 14 says, one of those listening was a woman from the city of Thyatira named Lydia, a dealer in purple cloth. She was a worshiper of God. Commentators say that she was likely somebody who was worshiping Yahweh, the Father in the Jewish context. And it goes on to say, the Lord opened her heart to respond to Paul's message. When she and members of her household were baptized, she invited us to her home. So this is Paul and Luke talking about meeting with Lydia, talking to her about the gospel. Her heart changes because of what God does in her. Then she invites them to their house. Commentators believe that this house was likely the first house church in Philippi, and Lydia is the one that likely leads that house church as a deacon or as a pastor in there. So again, we see this new thing happening, and that happened because the apostles went on their knees to pray following the model of Jesus. So when we start new things, the wise place to be is on our knees. And this is not the only place where we see this principle. In Acts 8, when Philip the apostle is praying, the angel comes and says, rise, go up to the road in Gaza. And when he does, he meets the Ethiopian eunuch with whom he talks, and the Ethiopian eunuch gets baptized because there is a new life that begins. So when we start new things, the wise place to be is on our knees, to be yielded to God's divine work in us and through us in the world around us. But as human beings, often there is a resistance, a reluctance in us to go down to our knees. And it's a part of human nature that Shakespeare characterizes in the immortal words in Hamlet, where he implores us, saying, bow stubborn knees. In saying that, he knows that our knees are stubborn. Sometimes we just don't want to bow our knees before God. And he says, bow stubborn knees and heart with strings of steel, be soft as the sinews of a newborn babe. So what he's saying here is, in the process of bowing our knees and praying to God, God changes our heart. A heart that is hardened becomes soft. And that soft soil is where the new seedlings of our growth happens. The new seedlings of belief grow and sprout out into plants that produce fruit. That is why the wise place for us to be when we begin new things is on our knees. So God would soften our hearts, and as we yield to the divine, He would make new life come in us and through us to the people around us. So, until I see you in another video, bye for now.